Today is April 1st. Now, to most people, that's April Fool's Day. But to every chief petty officer who has ever worn these anchors, today is a birthday. Happy birthday, Chiefs. April 1st, 1893, is the day the chief petty officer rank was established. 133 years ago, the Navy decided that the backbone of this institution would be the chief. In everything CultureKeeper has built, every episode, every tool, every honest conversation has been rooted in that same belief. And it's not lost on me that season 1 of CultureKeeper ends today, 6 months to the day from when it began. I didn't plan on that, but I've learned to recognize when God is putting punctuation on something.
This isn't just a podcast. It's a movement. Real stories. Zero fluff. Battle-tested wisdom. Straight from the mess to the dead plates. If you're tired of silence, the politicking, and leadership cliches, you're in the right place. Welcome to CultureKeeper.
Welcome back to the CultureKeeper podcast, the space that bridges the gap between junior sailors and senior leaders. I'm Command Master Chief Jessica Hardemon. Today, we close out season 1. And before we look forward, I need to look back, not for nostalgia, but for accountability. Because the last 6 months didn't just teach me about podcasting. It taught me about obedience, resilience, and what it actually means to show up for something bigger than yourself. 3 lessons earned, not borrowed. So let's get into it. First things first, this podcast didn't start 6 months ago. It started years ago. So God dropped this vision into my spirit long before you heard episode 1. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I ran from it. Not because I didn't believe in the mission, but because I didn't believe in myself for it. The question I kept asking was, what qualifies me to talk about leadership? Who the hell am I? Now, I want to sit in that question for a second because I know I'm not the only one who's asked that. Like, who am I to start this? Who am I to think my voice matters in a space full of people who seem more credentialed, more polished, more ready? That question kept me stalled for longer than I'm proud of. But God has a way of not letting you off the hook. So no matter how much time passed, He kept finding ways to bring this vision back around. A conversation I couldn't shake, a sailor who needed exactly what I was sitting on, a quiet moment where I had to get honest with myself and ask, how long are you going to carry this without doing anything about it? And then something shifted. I stopped asking what qualifies me, and I got the answer I didn't know I needed. I'm not qualified. I'm called. And the grace attached to that calling is what carried me. Through the failures, through the successes, through the missteps, the disappointments, the episodes that didn't land, and the weeks life completely derailed the schedule. Grace kept me. Not my credentials, not my preparation, not perfect execution. Grace. So I stopped waiting to be qualified and started honoring the call. I created a 30-day prayer and supplication journal, not a content calendar, not a brand deck, a journal, a tool to gather my thoughts, align my heart, and build the foundation for what this needed to become. That journal is the bridge between the vision I received years ago and the 21 episodes you've been listening to. And the lesson I need you to carry from this, whether you're leading a division, considering the next step, or sitting on something God has been whispering to you for years, you don't need to be qualified. You need to be obedient. The grace will meet you in the movement. But obedience doesn't mean smooth sailing. Saying yes to the calling just means life will test how serious you are about it. Which brings me to lesson number 2. Adapt and overcome. Don't apologize. Here's what nobody tells you when you're starting something. Life does not care about your recording schedule. It will not pause for your content calendar. It will not hold off until after you drop the episode. It will come at you fast, sideways, and without warning you, in spite of your best intentions. This season, I had weeks where everything was aligned, the topic was locked, the notes were ready, the time was blocked out, and then life walked in and took the seat. Work tempo, family, the weight of carrying other people's hard seasons while managing my own. The moments where being a leader, a mother, a sailor, and a creator all demanded something from me at the same time. And early on, my instinct was to apologize for it, to get on the mic and say, I'm sorry for the gap. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm sorry it wasn't consistent. But here's the truth I had to own. Apologizing for being human is not humility. It's self-punishment dressed up as accountability. The Navy didn't train me to apologize when conditions changed. It trained me to adapt and overcome. And that doesn't stop being true because I traded a ship for a studio. So if you followed this podcast and noticed the gaps, I'm not going to apologize. What I will tell you is this. I adjusted. I kept going. And every time I came back to the mic, I came back with more clarity than I had before the interruption. Because here's what the hard weeks taught me that the easy weeks couldn't. Consistency is not about never missing. It's about never quitting. There's a sailor listening to this right now who's been beating themselves up for not being further along, for the plan that got derailed, for the season that took more than it gave. Stop apologizing for being in the middle of something hard. Adapt, overcome, keep moving. That is the leadership. And on the days when adapting felt heavy, when I questioned whether any of this was worth it, there was one truth that always brought me back. And that's lesson number 3. All it takes is one. Every time I sit down to record, especially on the tired days, the uncertain days, the days I wonder if this is reaching anyone, I come back to this. All it takes is one. One listen, one head nod from someone who finally feels seen. One tool downloaded at 2 a.m. by a new chief who doesn't know who to ask. One sailor who hears something in this podcast and decides to stay in the fight. One candle lit that lights every candle in its path. That's not inspiration, content. That's why I'm still here. You don't need millions of listeners to have massive impact. You need one person whose life is different because you showed up. Think about the junior sailor I used to be. The one who needed a voice like this and didn't have one. The one navigating leadership without a map, watching chiefs from a distance and wondering if she'd ever figure it out. If this podcast reaches her in whatever form she exists today, then every late night, every hard week, every moment of doubt was worth it. Because that's how culture actually changes. Not through commands, not through policies, not through perfect programs. Through one leader, one conversation, one moment of clarity that sparks the next one. You are that spark for someone. And if you've been waiting for permission to start, to lead, to speak, to create, to build, this is it. One step, one episode, one conversation. That's how movements begin. When I dropped the first self-check back in the beginning of the season, it was designed to ask one question. Do you have the basics locked in? Discipline and uniform and showing up and fundamentals. But you spend 6 months with me now. You've sat through lessons on emotional intelligence, leadership seasons, culture ownership, accountability, presence, and what it means to lead from a calling rather than a credential. The basics aren't enough anymore. So I built something for where you are now, not where you started. The CultureKeeper Leadership Audit It goes deeper into the 4 areas that separate leaders who perform from leaders who actually transform the people around them: ownership, discipline, impact, self-awareness. It's in the show notes. It's free, and it's your season 2 homework. Don't just download it. Sit in it. Answer it honestly. Come back to it 90 days into season 2 and see what changed and what didn't. That gap is your growth map. Season 1 of the CultureKeeper podcast is officially in the books. 21 episodes, real stories, zero fluff, and more growth than I expected in this mission and in myself. To everyone who subscribed, shared, downloaded a tool, sent a message, or quietly listened without ever saying a word, you are why this exists. Season 2 is coming, and I'm stepping into it with more clarity, more boldness, and a deeper commitment to this mission than I had when I started. Because that's what this season taught me above everything else. You don't get clarity before you start. You get it by starting. So to the junior sailor waiting for the right time to lead, start now. To the chief doubting whether their voice matters, it does. To the CMC wondering if they've still got something left to give, you do. Season 2 is for you. And if no one has told you today, let me be the first to say, thank you for all that you've done, all that you do, and all that you will do. Until next time, keep the culture, lead on. Culture isn't just kept, it's shaped. Every sailor, every day. Keep the culture, lead on.